Welcome back, Living Hope, Day 3, Elder and Father. I'm here with our esteemed pastor, Pastor Jess Strickland, and author of the book, Slow Your Soul, and our awesome kids director, Carrie, who happens to be my really good friend. And here's where we're going today. We are going home to celebrate, not just what God has done in us, but what God has done in others. And we can't wait to journey on this day of celebration with you. Pastor Jess, talk to us. What was in your mind as you wrote this day?
Well, actually, this is the culmination of 3 days. Mm-hmm. So the whole deal is home. And the point is, I had to take so much out of this book, and but it just would have made it so cumbersome to put this in this day. But the whole point of the book is that home is not a geographic place. It just is not. Home is a person. And more importantly, is home is a person that we're journeying with on the way.
Beautiful. So
you couldn't get further away from a domicile. I just discovered this recently. I was just in a ton of nice homes, which it'd be beautiful to have a nice home, but you have what you have. I decided this: I would much rather live in a dingy apartment at home with my family and among friends than live in a mansion. I said that's like an easy decision for me, a very, very simple decision. When we go on vacation, sometimes I have to come home for church reasons. So I'll leave Brenda in California and I'll come home. And it's so funny because I'm on the plane and I'm thinking I'm going home, but I don't feel like I'm going home. I feel like I'm going to a faraway place because I'm going away from Brenda. And then when I get on the plane to go back, I feel like I'm going home. Home is a person. This is why the Father, and it's why Jesus told the story the way he did. This is why the Son doesn't get to the door. If the Son gets to the door, then he will imagine his entire life that coming home is getting to a place. So the Father had to go all the way down the road to make sure home is not actually the place that you're headed. It's the person you're headed towards. And so he found home like we do on the way, not in a specific geographic location. That's what was in my heart when I was writing that chapter.
That's beautiful.
And Pastor Jess, I love how you linked home, the person, Jesus, and home with celebration. And one of the quotes you have from your book that just stuck out to me was, "We must hear the Father's heart. It was necessary to celebrate." And I'm always thinking about kids and families, and one of the things you're going to have us do in this chapter is to start writing those cards, those letters, celebrating the grace of God in other people. What would you say is the impact, the influence of celebrating others in our lives and in our families' lives?
I would suppose writing a grace note to somebody. You could call it a thank you note, but for me, most of the time, it's a grace note. I'm thankful for people, but what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to reveal to them the grace of God in and upon their lives. When you write it and you're done, the work is finished in you. Which, by the way, most days part of my spiritual practice and devotions in the morning is to write a note to somebody. I would say 60% of the time I'm writing. That's how I finish off my devotional time, and it has a formational impact on your heart. But here's the deal: like I write the note, and then 2 weeks later, I'll think of a name again. I'll say, "Didn't I just write them a note?" Because sometimes I forget to, in my thing, to write down when I wrote the note there, and so I'll forget, and then I completely forget what I put in the note. But then every once in a while, somebody will read that note back. And they will say, "Jess wrote this note, and here's what he said to me, and this is the impact on my life." I had no idea. Now you feel pretty good about that, but let me go stretch further. I have been in meetings and in small groups where people have pulled out notes that have been written to them by other people. This is not. I get my position and the influence that I can have writing somebody a note. I understand that. But it should not be lost on anybody else. So when we go through this, you can say, well, that's kind of like the thank you notes that we wrote. It is, but if you read the 5 things we have you do at the end of the chapter here, the day, it's a little bit different.
Now, Pastor Justin, looking at this, and something that's being highlighted for me is in Starving, in the past, we did this, and it was definitely a thank you. And it was like, thank you for what you did for me. What I'm seeing here that's a little bit different, but correct me if I'm wrong, this isn't actually about what they've done for us. This is us finding someone and delighting in them simply because they exist and they're a gift. Am I seeing that correctly?
Yeah. Rest does not come from me being loved.
Wow.
Rest comes from me loving someone else.
Beautiful.
Because unless you get to express your genuine significance that God has given you, you can never come to rest. So yeah, you got that. You got that absolutely right.
I'm praying that each one of us would take a cue from our lead pastor and realize that there's treasure in our words, and that right now God would even begin to drop in our hearts the names of people that God wants to gift through us. Incredible stuff. Let there be celebration, living hope, and we'll see you tomorrow.